back to Coffee Buddy. So in this video, we're going to start writing code for our Coffee Buddy design document. We're going to start off by taking a look at our files again. Under our starter assets, we're just going to extract them. And then in our starter assets folder, we have an index file, a style.css file, and our images. And here we have an SVG file for the Coffee Buddy logo. We have that image of a coffee shop. We have a picture of a cup of coffee. And here's our beans. And then finally the picture of a coffee and the pen. All these images came from Pixabay. They are royalty free, and you can search them up on pixabay.com. The logo file was created in Illustrator. It's just a simple little logo. Okay. So in my folder, I'm going to open with code. I use VS Code, and that's what we're going to use for this project. So if I open up index.html, you can see we have add your code for the Coffee Buddy HTML. Let's delete that. Okay. So first thing we need is our doc type, and we'll use HTML5. In our HTML tag, we're going to add a class called Node.js, and our lang attribute, we'll set to en. Next, we'll code our head tag. And our title tag, Coffee Buddy home. And then we'll just do a body tag. Okay, so pretty good structure. This template is using 4 spaces. So let me just minimize my window so I can show you how to fix that in VS Code. So I want to reduce this down to use 2 spaces instead of 4. That's just my preference. But because HTML has a lot of nesting tags, visually I think it's easier to read with 2 spaces instead of 4. So I'm going to click the little 4 space button down here, and that calls up the index using spaces option, and I can just change that to 2 before I get too far in. And I can shift tab to outdent some of my indented tags. So the class Node.js on the HTML tag, the purpose of that is to identify web pages that do not have JavaScript enabled. So you'll see this this tag, this class used in a lot of web pages, and that's just its purpose. This lets us code what are called fallbacks for browsers that don't have JavaScript enabled. So basically what that means is the first thing we would do in our JavaScript file is change this class. We would change it to probably JS, and that would mean that the person viewing our web page has JavaScript enabled on their web browser. Whereas the Node.js, if the JavaScript doesn't run, it will never change that class, and that will mean that we're dealing with a web browser that does not have JavaScript enabled. This might seem like a lot if you're not used to code. If you're new to web development, that might seem like what's the point of that? Why would somebody be using your page without JavaScript? But it happens. There's a lot of older browsers we need to support, and you're going to see this on the job. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to use the same practice. Okay, so inside our body tag, we're going to create a header tag. We're going to create an article, and we're going to create a footer. We're going to put this whole thing in a main. And this should get us started. So now we have our main article, we have our header, and we have our footer. It's inside a main tag, and that's all inside the body. Up here in our head tag, we're going to add a few more tags just to get us started. This would be standard for like boilerplate code. So we're going to add the char set, and it's UTF-8. We're going to add another meta tag, description. And so if you're new to web development, the head tags contain information about your web page. So this information, all these tags inside here, that information is not typically seen by the end user. It's not necessarily displayed in the browser like the rest of your web page. It's information that machines can use to make sense of your document. This document's sitting on the internet, which is the largest network in the world. And Google, for example, needs to catalog and index all these pages. So then when someone is looking for Coffee Buddy and they type that into their search engine, this document is one of the documents that's served up as a result. So in this meta tag, we can add additional information about our web page, and that means that any web crawlers or bots that are scanning our document, they can use this information to index and catalog our site, and hopefully that will provide better search results. And that way, it doesn't have to rely on just the natural language that I use in my HTML markup. Okay, so here I could add a description. So Coffee Buddy is a fake company. We're also going to add a meta tag called viewport. And this will allow our site to be responsive. We're still going to have to include additional CSS to make our website look good on different devices, but this is the groundwork for that. Okay. And finally, we're going to link our CSS file. So to link our CSS file, we use the link tag, and we say the relationship is a style sheet. And then the href, the hierarchical reference, is our CSS file. So I'm going to call this styles.css. There we go. Now let's test this. So I have Firefox development set up. And when I load localhost / Coffee Buddy, I'm going to get a problem. And that's because my files are not in the right directory. So let's fix this right now. So I'm going to go up to VS Code. I'm actually going to close it. Everything's saved there. And I'm going to go to my folder. And I can see there's my Coffee Buddy directory. And I've got all these nested folders, starter assets, and then another folder called starter assets. I don't need that. I'm going to take all these files and I'm going to move them to Coffee Buddy. And now inside my Coffee Buddy folder, I have all of that stuff. I'm going to delete those empty folders. And now I just have my design doc, my index, my style.css, and my images. And that's the structure of my web page right now. If I refresh my page, it should load the index.html. And it doesn't. Okay, so I'm using XAMPP, and if I launch the control panel, I will see that my web server is not running. So I'm going to press Start on Apache to boot up my web server. And then if I refresh my page, it will finally load. And now we have no errors. I'm going to go on my dev tools. So if you press F12 in Chrome or whatever web browser you're using, the dev tools will come up. And we'll be using this to debug our CSS moving forward. That's it for the first video. That's the structure that we're going to work with. The structure may change, and that's okay. So it's a work in progress. Thanks for watching.